Hey, what's going on, guys? We checking in again, episode number 17, Thinking Game. And this episode is called The Non-Traditional Journey. We're going to talk about our journey through going to school. Wasn't the most traditional journey, probably a little scattered, a little on and off. Both of us, we didn't go to college right after high school. That's why we really telling kids to really find out what you want to do after high school. Don't necessarily have to be college right after high school, but educate yourself in some kind of skill set, something. So when did you start school, Jay?
I mean, well, just like what he was saying, anything to increase your value. You know
Right.
what I mean? A lot of times, it's not that people don't want to work hard, or that I didn't want to work hard, or that he didn't. You know, it's a lot of it is picking where you want to go, picking your path, picking your thing. You can't start the journey until you pick your destination, or at least a direction to go in.
Right.
And I think that was a part of with me. Even starting school later and not just immediately, going after high school. Another thing people don't realize, you got to eat while you're going to school, right? You got to work, you got to, or whether, you get a scholarship and things like that. You don't really want to.
But when you're single, though, when it come down to eating and stuff, I know for us, I should have cooked more. I didn't. I probably find myself cooking more now. Just making a basic salad. If you can boil eggs and cut some baby spinach up or something like that. It's ways to eat when you're single. It's doing it when you got a family. It's a little different, but you 20, 21. Most people are single.
George Foreman Grill was my friend back then.
Oh yeah, I had one of those too, man. I cooked so many burgers and
chicken breast,
chicken breast.
Whatever you
Matter
can.
of fact, if you don't clean it seasons it. It has the little black season.
It
leaves grill marks.
On the grill, like, man, this is
grill marks.
Is this blackened chicken? This is delicious.
And I know for most people, for me, when I started working jobs and stuff, I thought I was making money. Keyword, I thought I was making money. If I could find one of my old check stubs from back then, like from Red Cross or something, I'm gonna have to bring it. Thought I was making money with after 2 weeks, you bring it home like maybe $500 or $600 after taxes.
Some people still right there. You know what I mean?
No, I'm talking about this. How I was back in 2000 something. I can't even remember now. But yeah, you thinking you didn't start school because you thought I was making enough money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
and when I wasn't doing it, I think I was single, roommates. Had a car. I think I just paid it off, something like that. The Monte Carlo. So I thought $500-$600 was enough. It really wasn't enough to live on my own. I think if I would have tried to live on my own, I wouldn't have had enough. I would have been short probably $400-$500
a month.
Easy. I would have been short $400-$500 easy. So.
Yeah, you just don't really know, like, man, what I need. I got enough right now. And then sometimes the investment of college, you kind of think like, okay, well, if I'm making this $500 right now, I'm going to stop making it to go to school to make, a couple $100 more, you know what I mean? I'm not going to school to make $50,000, or I'm not going to school, for this or that, you know what I mean? But that's, no, some people don't. Some people, have this mindset like, I'm okay making what I'm making now, because if I go to school and get a 4-year degree, I know I'm just making a little bit less than them, or I'm doing this. It's all this speculation. Like, I'll get this and I won't make the money. You know what I mean?
I think
that's fear.
And most people say like disruption sometimes can make you go in a different direction because you're so comfortable. The journey that you're on is comfortable. You feel like everything's flowing well. Because I know for me, when I got fired from Red Cross, because I didn't pay a ticket. Didn't even have nothing to do with the job. It was a personal ticket that I didn't pay. And they had a policy at that time that if you got a ticket that they weren't going to, if you drove for Red Cross and you got a ticket, whether it's your personal ticket or driving with them, you're going to lose your job because you're driving. They're not going to pay the extra cost on the insurance. So I got a ticket. And I went and got on a payment plan at the courthouse thinking, I'll just pay it off later. But I forgot to go and pay it. Like, literally forgot. Didn't even know. And I found out that I need to pay it, and I paid it, but it was already on my record at that point. But they didn't do probably another record check probably for 6 months because I think I had got it in May.
Yeah.
And I think they did it like a record check in October. Didn't even, after I paid it, I still forgot about it. Didn't even think about it.
Everything's fine. You know what I mean?
Man,
This is a part of my job.
Man, I went to work that Sunday night, man. My manager was there. That's how I knew something was wrong. My manager was there. Chuck, like, rest in peace, Chuck, man. He passed now, but he was sitting in the office. I was like, wait a minute, why Chuck? It's Sunday. He ain't supposed to be here. He ain't never here on Sunday. He off. He said, come here, Michael, let me talk to you. I said, man, I hate to do this, man, but we're not to let you go, man. He said,
what you mean? Like, no, today.
Huh? What? He said, man, you got a ticket, man. You know they got this policy, man. And I thought about it. I couldn't say nothing. I just said, man. I had to go home, man, think about some stuff, man. My mom told me to go get on unemployment. My ego didn't want to let me do it. And that's when she presented to me like, man, you know what? You've been helping me out with the bills, helping out at the house. It's time for you to go to school and take care of yourself, son. You gotta go take care of yourself, go to school. I was like, huh? But that's how I started going to school. I think I was, 26, 27 at that time? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And time flies by.
You
know what I mean? Because you think, like, honestly, one day you're 18, the next day you're like 27. You know what I mean? Once you get into a groove of, of doing stuff on a certain level, it's very early just to get used to growth and change.
Yeah.
Change can be really, really fun. I mean, it's just different.
But I think from a corporate level, I think before I started going to school and started really getting in the corporate game, I think I really learned about myself, and I learned about just being consistent, being dependable, being consistent, being on time, and learning how to communicate in the corporate space.
Yeah, and those are very simple things that anybody can do.
It sounds simple, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the concept of it is simple.
Yeah.
The execution is not.
Yeah, because I didn't execute it that good when I was younger, man.
I think my journey with school and things started very similar to that. I got a pretty good job. And I would say good job, you get benefits, health insurance, you know what I mean? When you're 18 years old and you got, full health insurance and a retirement, a pension, and you got a 401k, I'm like, hey, man, I'm 18 years old. You know what I mean? This is pretty good. And then when you're in a connected family, sometimes you end up, helping other family members out, and you're just subject to be the only one in the household, making any kind of money, and then that does make you feel some type of way because you're still a child, or you're 18 years old, but then you're helping older adults, pay their bills or do this and this, and then you're helping younger siblings or cousins, you're helping them out as well. So now your income is a part of this community, of things, and you're helping other people out, and maybe even some of your money you can't grow like you need to grow, but you get in those situations and they ain't 18 or you're 24 like that quick, you're working every year. This and that, trying to.
Or your job really count. Like,
your
making
job
mistakes.
Counts to
Some
the
mistakes
thing,
you can't make.
So,
teach you how to be disciplined early, because I think we both was in that boat. But some mistakes you can't make. Your check counts. Everything counts. Like your check's you already know when you get paid. You already know where money going. You already know where this is going here. This is going here. This is going there.
And it's not about you getting evicted. Now it's like either your family or other loved ones are. It's like, man, you're not even in an NFL situation where you're making like a whole ton of money. So to even go to school and to not work it's almost like not an option, but you get used to working and having things, and you just can't really see yourself not earning on some kind of level.
Right.
But you get stuck in that, so it's like it. Then at some point I got to like, well, I'm out on my own, and I'm like, well, there's got to be more to life than this. I got to make something. I got to do some education. So I'm always kind of thinking. But the thing is, what do I actually want to do? So I was in healthcare already, so I started looking into what I wanted to do in healthcare. What do I want to do? Nursing? Do I want to do radiology? Nuclear medicine. There's so many different avenues. So I started, got in the train or the mindset. Well, let me get my basics out of the way. Let me finish my my associates. Before I get into the major. I still have a little time to decide. And that's when I decided I really didn't want to do nursing for myself. You know, that just really wasn't my strong suit. You know what I mean? I can deal with the people of it. You know what I mean? But some of the science and stuff wasn't for me. Like I took a boatload of science classes trying to figure out which ones kind of fit me. I was like, man, all this stuff.
You don't want to deal with the fecal matter.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I don't care how many gloves you have on or how safe it is. You don't want to pick up somebody else's fecal matter.
I mean, it's a small part. You're saving lives out here.
It's like a weird thing. It's like you don't even touch your own fecal matter when you use the bathroom.
A lot of people touch their dogs, you know, stuff.
Not me.
Through the little bag, through the little baggie, you know what I mean. And
I'm pretty sure that feels
Johnny
weird
Depp
too.
Situation, you know, but
yeah.
But just doing that, like I said, that wasn't for me. So I would just take, you know, part time. Well, also while working a full time job, you know, I didn't since it wasn't after school, I didn't do the really whole college life, you know, dorm thing. I still worked a full time job and then picked up classes when I could to continually to grow. Then I really hit the point where, what do I really want to do with the rest of my life? And that's a big commitment too. It's easier to get married than to figure out what it is you want to do with the rest of your. I mean, to make the decision to get married.
I think it's harder to find a spouse.
No, I didn't say find a spouse. I said to decide whether you want to marry that particular spouse to make.
That's what I'm saying. That's to me. That's.
See, you're encompassing the whole journey. You know what I mean? I'm just
I'm
just doing all
to
just
come
the
to
one.
I'm talking about to come to the place where this is the person I want to marry because it's a lot of factors into.
Yeah, and it is, but trying to figure out what you want to do with your own life. I mean, at some point, you know, you might not have that particular spouse, but, you know, like your career and what you invest your time in. I mean, hey, agree, disagree, personal life, you know, things like that. Yeah. But, you know, deciding, hey, what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
I mean, we both went through, because I went to school for body work and stuff first, even though I still love cars.
That's the point that, you know, that we're getting to. Yeah. Hey, you feel like you're making that decision, like, 18 or 20, 24, feel like you're making that decision once you start something. But no, that's just the beginning. Yeah. So if you don't like it, you can change. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can get into computers and also then become a veterinarian. You have the time because those are things that you want to do. Just because you were curious about it, you should explore those options and things like that. Yeah. I mean, of course, we at Google now. We can research as much as we can or shadow somebody. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to encourage you to research and step out and do these things earlier and not have a fearful mindset stepping into your potential growth. Mm-hmm. Because it's all going to be fun. You're going to go to college. You're going to meet people in classes. Yeah, is it going to be challenging? Yeah. I mean, but was high school 100% challenging? No. Mm-hmm. Was it 100% fun? No. But it was a lot of fun, and it was some challenges, you know what I mean? But you learned a lot. And you grew and you met a lot of people, you know what I mean? If anybody tells you about college, they met a lot of cool people. They met some teachers they didn't like, you know what I mean?
You see a lot of interesting characters too.
Yeah, oh my God.
You watch like Jerry Seinfeld or you watch any sitcom. It's people like that in real life.
Or you watch Jerry Springer. Those people are real too. So you see a lot of things. So
it's almost like Jerry Springer in real life now.
These are our journeys, and like you said, we talked about from almost 18 to 27 to 24 to 34 to 38. The journey just keeps going. You know what I mean? You want to keep adding to your value and still remain curious. Yeah. Be curious. Try things. You know what I mean? Invest in things. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can be self-motivating by getting these little achievements first. Maybe it's getting your associate. Maybe it's getting your apprenticeship. Maybe it's going on shadowing somebody at the job. You know what I mean? Sometimes those little bite-sized accomplishments can also really be motivational. So get started. Try something.
Cool. So now rolling into our next topic is the process of signing up for school or, getting set up. I think a lot of people...
It's very overlooked.
Yes, because it's a lot of dots. And then it's the stuff in between the dots that you got to stay on top of, right?
You become your own. This is like signing an NFL contract. You become your own agent. You got to handle your own paperwork. You know what I mean? That's true. You got to be on that. Like you can miss out on a Pell Grant if you miss a deadline. If you don't go talk to financial aid and stand in those lines for 30 minutes, an hour sometimes. Yeah. That's you. That's your thing. You got to go do that. And a lot of us in high school, you didn't register yourself. Your parents registered, or you was automatically enrolled. You just showed up to high school.
So how many steps you think if we decide about like one? Let's say one step, you got to fill out for FAFSA, right?
Picking school,
Yeah,
getting
picking
accepted.
school. Yeah, getting accepted.
You'll do FAFSA because they'll ask you about this.
Because I'm not traditional. Like I said, I don't even know the traditional path, but yeah, you do that. Do FAFSA.
That's for
Which you actually might be able to go and get a Pilgrim because you got a dependent now. You got what's the name now?
Yeah, I have to check it out. I have to really kind of certify my whole situation.
You can use your, I think probably can use your mom as independent too.
Yeah, I have to look into like
you know do it. We'll talk about that after the podcast. I don't want to talk about too much that on here.
Yeah.
Chessboard moves, man. But fill out for FAFSA, get that filled out. Then you got to register for a school. Now I know.
And they all have.
At some colleges, they don't have a registration fee. Some do. Most of them they have an application fee that you have to pay. That could be like $100.
Yeah.
And then after you do that, now you get scheduled with an advisor. See, that's them now. That's in between the dots, right?
And you still got to keep checking your emails and to make sure FAFSA ain't responding because it's not like immediate, like, boop, I'm approved with this and that.
Yep.
No, they're going to give you different steps and you'll have different time limits for different steps.
Yeah, the earlier you can do it, the better. Don't wait till the last minute. Like for your fall, you need to have that done probably by, matter of fact, every year after January, probably like after New Year's, you should fill out your FAFSA for the next year. At least by February, March. You should have that done.
Yeah, keep up with your, and that's another thing, to keep up with your tax returns and stuff like that. Your loan payments and payments and things like that as well.
Yeah.
Because they're going to ask you stuff like that.
Here's the thing. When you talk to an advisors, they get paid to advise. They don't plan your life. They don't plan your schedule. They just here to advise you. They don't know you from a pot of beans. They probably just got on the phone with another person. They just kind of get you in the right direction.
They can only do what you tell them to do.
Right.
They're like an emergency room doctor. That emergency room doctor doesn't know you. They know the symptoms that you're telling them. Right. So you tell them, hey, I want to do this. Well, this is how you do that. Well, they don't tell you, well, this comes with this or this comes with that, or you know how your mama be acting, or you know you're not good at this. They don't say that. They say, you want to be a nurse. This is nursing school. These are the classes you need before nursing school. We advise you to take them in this order. And
that's the thing, right? They advise you to take it in this order, but it's up to you. It depends on the curriculum, too. That's another thing. Before you talk to an advisor, you really need to sit down and go to any college, look at the academic section, and find out the major that you can make a comfortable living in. Not just a major to say I got a college degree, but a major that you can make a comfortable living in. I can't stress it enough.
What if I like art and music, and that's what I like? That's what I'm interested in.
You should do the research. I had a teacher last semester who had art. He said in order to teach at a college, he had to get at least a master's degree in art or art history or something like that, just to teach drawing in college.
Did they get, because he loved it? Did what he loved equal the salary that he desired?
I didn't ask him his salary, but it sounded like he liked it. I don't know, but most times if you teach at a college,
so
it's around 50, 60 grand.
Like you were saying, we're discussing the process. So now, should we have this conversation with ourselves, looking at the major, researching the pay of that before we fill out our FAFSA?
Yes.
So we was talking about.
I mean, you might not have given exactly give you a ballpark figure.
No, so we want to flip back and say this is the first step, not what we were just talking about.
Yeah, that's why I wish we had a board. When we go over to the studio, let's do that. But yes, you want to research that, the field that you're in. Look on Indeed. Look on some of these places. Have public budgets that you can look at different places, salaries and stuff like that. You just have to look it up.
Yeah, and this is just like, if you look at a salary or compensation, like any kind of relationship, you wouldn't get in a relationship that was doing stuff you didn't like, right? Right. Just because you liked it or loved it, right? This person said they're not going to cook, they're not going to clean, and they're not going to bathe. Right. But this is what I love, and this is the person I love, and this is the person I'm interested in. So that same thing, with picking a degree. You're saying you love this field, you love this, but this field doesn't take a bath. So it's not paying you the salary that you want. Right. So now you're going to invest all this time, energy, money in something you love and really interested in that kind of makes you happy, but it has all these things that you don't like into it. Like by what I mean by don't like is the salary, the way that you're living. You're constantly frustrated, annoyed, but like, man, I'm a college graduate. with the thing that I love and it may not be paying me. This is what we're saying. Just research what it is, maybe.
Right. So
Your
my
pay and see if it'll be
experience with an advisor was they wanted me to take English and all that stuff first, and I said, I don't want to do that. I asked them, can I make my own schedule? She's like, yeah, as long as you get the classes done, you can do it however you want. You don't have to take it how I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Why they tell me that? Man, I took all my major classes first. I did all my English and stuff last. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to find a job in IT before I graduated, right before I graduated. And it ended up happening just like that. I was working at the airport.
Because you could have still been taking English
Yeah.
once you were network certified.
Yeah, I was working
at the same time. Like, okay, let's say
Yeah.
he would have had to take the English, so that would have took, what, 6 months?
Semester, yeah.
It would have took a semester to take those English classes and these other things. But the same class, once he took the network, once he got network certified, the same network class was 1 semester as well.
Right.
So now he's network certified within the same amount of time that dude have been taking English.
Exactly.
So now he get another job and now he can increase the earning. But see, that's just research and thinking outside of the box. Yeah. Now, what the advisor said was not wrong per se.
No, not wrong.
No. Yeah, because what it actually did with me, which I kind of did some of the classes first, because I sprinkled mine in like half of practical. Seeing was the medical field for me, so I took science classes, some of the heavier science classes at the same time. But I still took English because it helped me, because they wanted a format in the rest of my classes. I had traditional, more, not network classes, I had more traditional other classes. The histories and the maths and all these other philosophy and all these other classes, they start doing different formats, like, you know, whether it's MLA or APA or stuff like that. Like, I learned it in those English classes. So it helped me structure writing the paper, because I don't like writing paper, still don't. But it gave me that structure and that foundation too. Yeah. So taking them in order did kind of help me, but it helped him in his career. Right. So, like I said, the advisor wasn't right. Was right.
The advisor was right. But,
but it said it helped your career.
Yeah, I'm outside
and it helped your life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, by doing it, you know, that particular way. You have control of your own life. You can
Right.
listen
Exactly. That's all I'm
and
saying.
advice. But like I say, do the research. Pick up a computer, a pen, a pad, and figure something out.
Yeah, because I took all the Cisco classes, all the server classes, got all that done probably by, I want to say, almost through the degree. I probably had about 3 more semesters left. Ended up finding a job as a contractor working for an ISP company, and working as a contractor. Then I just switched to nights and finished up that way. But what all we saying is the advisor is there to advise you, but they don't have to be the end all be all of what you're doing. So something to think about.
Go
ahead.
No, I'm just gonna transition on to the next thing.
Yeah.
What do you think? The difficulty, the highest or the lowest difficulty level in some of the classes that you were taking, like transitioning from high school to college, and then even now going into your majors, like
for me,
first starting.
For me, when I think about the difficulty level of a class, it's all about the teacher. Are they good at explaining it, or are they just dry? You know, like Ben Stein. Good day, class. Today we're gonna learn about IT. This is how you do it. Yeah, boring. And he being about to fall asleep when he's lecturing you, because it's not relatable. When teachers can relate to real world stuff, what they do, you get a little more tuned in, because it's like, okay, now I understand what he's saying. Because they give you the concept, but sometimes the concept and when you go into the job, it's two totally different things.
The concept of the
right.
what you're learning versus the application, how to apply it and use
exactly
the same information.
So difficulty to me is different, because in my mind, you can make something as hard as you want it if you tell yourself I can't do it, or if you take the time out to study, and you might have to sacrifice some time. You may not watch YouTube videos. You may not watch your favorite TV show if you want to pass this class, you know what I'm saying? If you want to grasp this concept in your head. So difficulty to me is a little different, because I think anything can be conquered with time and wanting to learn. But that's just how I think, you know what I'm saying? So what do you think about the difficulty?
It's like give you enough time and you can figure it out. You can have all day, right? To me, if you're doing it wrong, it's just gonna be wrong. It's just wasted time, you know, in the sense of. So, you know, I'm not one of the people who know everything. So when I sit, and it seems like I do, people tell me I know it all and I know everything. I'm never wrong. But when you're sitting there in the class, you're learning new. You're being introduced to a new concept, and without those key people, without paying attention and listening to what you're actually learning, because like reading, it's I know how to do it. I'll just read it and I'll be fine. Some stuff you can read the instructions, but you have no idea how this stuff works because it's new to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't know anything about some classes you don't know anything about.
Right.
If you're coming off the street, you don't know anything about networking, that's gonna get you. If you don't know anything about science or atoms or something, you can read it over and over, but you don't necessarily understand what an atom is. You keep reading this word atom that you don't understand. You can't visualize it.
Right.
When stuff gets deeper into higher learning, so now you just keep reading the same information that you don't understand. But I guess that could be.
It depends on how you pick up. How do you connect the dots in your head?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. I'm telling you, bro. I did not know. I knew about routers and switches, but I didn't know the ins and outs. Like, how when I used to work at the hospital with you, I'll be walking somewhere and I see a dude going to the network closet or something. Like, dang, what's that? Well, dang, what's that? And he was like, this is a network closet.
All these, why they use them?
But they would never tell us, though.
Yeah, exactly.
You see the lights on, but they would never tell us. And even when I got done with the collision body repair and I was looking it up and it said networking, in my mind, I thought it was talking about like networking with people. I didn't know it was networking routers and switches. And then when I started looking it up, I was like, oh man, I could do this. It can't be that hard. But when I went there first, I was like, oh, wow, okay. It could be a little overwhelming. But then when you sit down and really think about it, it's almost become common sense. But that's in my brain, like, I'm an analytical brain, you know what I'm saying? That's how my brain works.
And that's one of the things we have to understand, too.
Yeah.
And that's why we have some classes that are prereqs. You have to take this class before you get to this class, so you'll have some kind of general understanding going into it. And that really helps out a lot. And like you say, with time you can wrestle with stuff, and the difficulty level is going to be different with everything.
Most of the time,
a lot of times when you talked about teachers, right, and teachers how they're drawing stuff like that. Like when you go into like science or healthcare or something like that, when you do like maybe A&P or like with anatomy or chemistry or something like that, or even whether it's physical science. Some stuff feels like dry. Like if they tell you to learn the skeleton, it's just learn the skeleton.
Right.
It's not like some weird trick to it, or you have to be interested, or a concept. Nope, this bone is this bone, or learn your body parts. Like that's your intestines. Right. That's your heart. You know what I mean? Or this is your heart. These are the valves, and these are the chambers, and this is how it operates. Operates in this order. It's not kind of like this. It's exactly like this. And that's the information they give you. A list of parts and a diagram, put it together, learn it. This is going to be the backbone of your career. Right. Knowing this body. And like, if you can't just learn that flat like that, or think of your own nursery rhyme or flashcard, it's like, that's why a lot of people lose, because it's like, I got to remember each bone in your finger, and you wouldn't believe how many bones are in your hand. Right. And you have to know that.
Then you have to like
next
what
week,
you're doing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no matter, you have to really be interested. And that's what kind of like, turn a lot of people off. Like, well, damn, that's not like fun. It's not a nursery rhyme. It's not, you're like, how you can remember the multiplication song? Like, is it a song to remember every
Schoolhouse
Rock in your hands, or how many, in your teeth, or, how many blood vessels are in, X and O, this and that. Or the different, or
then when
the blood-brain barrier is.
You see a radiologist, man. You see what they pushing that beamer, man. You like, oh, maybe I need to be a radiologist, man.
You know what I mean? Maybe I need to stop. Maybe I can learn the skeleton. Maybe I don't have to know the functions of an entire body. You know what I mean? And maybe that's for me. So difficult. What kind of information are you? A memory kind of person, or are you a figure? Like you say, you're analytical. You want to figure things out, and you want to make sense in your head.
Because I'm one of the most book smart person. I read it, understand it, but I'm more of a hands-on guy. Like if you throw me in a room with routers and switches and some cables, I have it all wired and connected and lit up and working, instead of just understanding the book concept. Because I think that's one thing you find out sometimes in school. There's people application smart, then there's people that's concept and book smart. But if you put the person that's application and book smart in a hands-on situation, they'll start scratching their head. They get frustrated. If you take a person that's application smart and put them in a standardized test, where they have to be still and you know what I'm saying, think about this test, it get them a little bit more frustrated because you have to try to remember stuff versus hands-on. You be subconsciously doing stuff that somebody else wouldn't be trying to figure out the steps of how to do it.
In your head and you're figuring out the parts and things like that.
Right.
I've seen teachers talk to people like, well, you did great in the example in the classroom where you put this together like this. Why did you do poorly on the test? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, can you translate that? Can you see it to the, it ain't like when I was doing this, you know what I mean? It's like, well, we see you put the square peg in a square hole, but then when you read about it and you had to answer questions about that, it didn't work. So would you feel like you're a good test taker? Like with
I probably wasn't the best. I wasn't a good test taker. But when we do the hands-on lab though, kill it. But when we did Cisco Netacad, didn't do that good. I think I could have did better. I think I just don't like. I just never won the big test taker, and I think I used that as a cop-out. I should have just did more studying, but I like the hands-on better. I've always been a hands-on guy. I think that was probably one of my Achilles heels. I just should have been better.
So you're big on like, you know, if you were studying, like how did your studying go? Do you visualize when you study, or
visualize?
Or you're a repetition person? If I say this or I go through the process enough times, it'll commit to long term.
I'm more of an analogy concept kind of guy. Like
once I get the method,
I may think about networking, but I may think about it in an NFL analogy or something like that, like how things go on the field or something.
These are my linemen, these are my quarterbacks,
exactly.
This and that, and they can only
they can do this.
These
this
can only do these. You know what I mean? A wired network can only do this, or a wired network, or servers act as this in this particular thing.
Or like you say, we'll talk about that probably on the whole next section, but. No, the next section is what is your max? Like, what do you see yourself at the peak of in your corporate career? What do you see yourself going? Like, what I mean by that is, how high do you see yourself getting in a particular company or your corporate journey? How high do you see?
And we're talking about where you are currently, and also if you move, where do you see yourself in that company as well? We trying to give you that foresight, like what is your vision of yourself? Because I know you don't see yourself. I know you see yourself as a millionaire. You see yourself stepping up, doing the next level of things. You know what I mean? So, what do you see? What's the next step? You know what I mean? You're a millionaire in 10 steps, but what's step 2 in this environment you're in? Put yourself in this environment. And see, like, you know, hey, what does my supervisor do? How much does he make? What kind of education does he have? What is your next? What's your next step? And
what's your max? Where do you see yourself? What's your max, man?
You know, in this job. Well, you know, I'm continuing my education. I'm using the benefits of, you know, my current, job. Have discounted tuition. Or 100% tuition in different jobs, so I'm boosting my skills right now. So that's my next step to increase my value in said company, to move up in small incremental steps. You know what I mean? So I can be more comfortable at the job until I get the skills that I need to move on to my.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like.
But that's not the max, of course.
There's in IT, right? There is. I'm gonna say a hierarchy. Yeah. Entry level, there's entry level help desk. Then there's the back end to mid level, like systems, network, programming. And then there's the executive level. And that's when you're like management over programming, management over systems, management over networking. And then there's the CIO, Corporate Information Officer, Vice Chancellor, or CTO, Corporate Tech Officer, something like that. Yeah, I'm saying like the max for me, when I'm thinking about if I stay in IT, which I'm probably gonna stay in IT, is trying to get to that like CIO level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And pretty much, peak out like somewhere in there, depending on where you at. Higher education, it goes past that. You go from being CIO, you go to being like a provost or, assistant chancellor, vice chancellor, something like that, or this chancellor over the whole college. I mean, that's the top of the pyramid, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think I could get to that point when I was younger. Didn't even know nothing about none of that till I started working and I then started seeing this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And that's when we discussed that, getting out of that, this area and this mindset. You don't know what you're missing until you step into those different arenas. So don't definitely be afraid with that. And then if you're in a situation where it doesn't have that many levels to go
that's
to,
true.
Maybe you're in the wrong box. Maybe you know what I mean. You're not even at the right starting block because if you can see yourself, I'll be done with this in 3 years, or I don't even like where my manager is.
Right.
And my manager will never be where my director is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, man, just want you to look at things like that, so you don't be disappointed, so you don't have unmet expectations for yourself. Then you think you're thinking that life is just going to happen, or there's some gradual promotion system. No, the person above you hasn't been promoted in 10 years. You know what I mean? The person above them hasn't been promoted, or this and that is just not able. Nobody's moving up. So you got to think, are you cool with it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, really look at yourself like that. So I think that's why you ask the question, where do you see yourself? Like, start looking in the mirror and saying, where do I see myself? Yeah. Write CEO on your mirror. You know what I mean? Write this and that. Yeah. Figure out the steps like that. I'm working toward this goal.
Right.
And these CEO means just even being able to do what you want to do with your time. And having the money to
leadership, and understanding.
I mean, no, that's not what CEO means. But I mean, in your mind, that's the level that you're trying to work for in your personal life.
Right.
So, but this is the title, and this is where I need to be with the earning.
Right.
To get these things that I want to in my personal life, as far as being able to do what I want to do, not as far as leading an organization or a group as a professional. So
now we're going to the corporate section now. Corporately, understanding your value. Like, do you know how much you're worth? Do you know what you bring to the company? Do you know what your skill set is? And is that translatable? Does that make you more valuable in the market? Or are you in a market that's saturated and you don't really stand out? You just kind of blend in with everybody else, I know different jobs, value is based on your skill set. How proficient you are at something, how consistent you are, how dependable you are, what's your personality like, Are you able to talk to everybody, or you only talk to certain people, or are you reclusive? Some people are really introverted, and sometimes you can be your worst enemy, You have to be able to talk to other people, even people you're not used to dealing with. Sometimes it takes that, so...
And then it's not necessarily, being fake. It's just
right.
People tend to match energies. They say they don't, but if you're kind of guarded and reserved or secretive, you know what I mean. People tend to be a little bit reserved with you, or maybe secret to hold their cards close to their chest with you as well. You know what I mean. And you never know what you can learn from the next man. You're always learning, especially entering new environments. You know what I mean. So you're trying to grow. What is your goal? So, but these are skills, what I mean. All this stuff helps your value,
right?
Knowing your strengths and weakness and being able to sell that or maximize what it is that you have and gain more any particular job.
And you have to. Most jobs, like I said, not going to tell you, hey, your value increased. We're going to take care of you. You have to know your value's increasing. You have to know what value is when you hit the market, if you put your resume on the market, when you add a skill set to that. Because that's pretty much what you're doing in the corporate world. You're building your resume. That's showing that you adding a skill set of, work each job you work at, you work for 5 years, then you transition to another job. That shows that you're being consistent and you're trying to level up. And most companies respect that,
And I always ask, well, what do you see yourself in, 5 years? You know what I mean? Are you going to be an asset to the company? Are you going to be a value to yourself? Are you trying to move up? Or are you I'm just trying to stay right here? And look at everything like college, the college of life, or gaining value. You work somewhere from 5 years. Well, I worked at a hospital. Well, what did you do at the hospital? Man, I just did hospital stuff. I just was a CNA. Well, what else did you do? Or you worked at a clinic.
Right.
Everything you did, every skill you learned, everything they asked you to do. All right. When you were working at that clinic, well, did you schedule patients? You got to put that on. Did you build? Did you code? Did you
Right.
Did you learn how to take phone calls? Did you do shorthand?
Right.
Do you all that stuff? Anything that had? Well, I used to make the schedule when I had two. I also trained the new employees. Put that on there. You were a trainer.
Right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? You were a supervisor. You had two employees under you. You have to you put that in there. Have
Right.
good relationships because they're gonna call that job for reference and maybe verify what it is that you did. Oh, they did everything.
Everything.
You know what I mean? They did this and then they were always able. So you can put that on there. Hey, I'm willing to work outside of my job scope to learn different things. I started off as as a medical assistant in the clinic. I ended up being an office manager. Even though if they didn't pay you like office manager, you
Right.
did office manager work, so you have to put that on your resume. Those are skills that you have that added value to you. So being able to recognize your own value in the things you do, because
Right.
you're not regular a lot of times. You know what I mean? Other things that increase your value. Like he was telling me earlier, being on time. Just because you can get by being a little bit late or something like that, it's just better all around. Just to be on time or just be a little bit earlier.
Right.
Everybody hates that. Everybody likes that extra sleep, especially if you're suffering through depression or anything like
I struggle
that.
with that myself. Yeah.
Waking up and being behind. It's always just going to be better. Sometimes you can't transfer in certain organizations if you had two 30-minute tardies or two 5-minute tardies that count. Anything between 5 and 30 minutes counts as an occurrence or half, a quarter, a point, or whatever system that you're working on. Now you can't transfer. And then if somebody's just looking at you internally, they mention the hallway, they like what you were saying, but then now they can't get you in their department because you were late. And now they know, now your supervisor, boss knows that somebody else is looking for you and your skill set. So that could be a situation that's blocking your opportunities. There's always a way to call in if you're sick and things like that. They can reduce points, occurrences, or whatever.
Right.
Have just trying to maintain professional and keep communication with your supervisors and bosses. Even if you don't like them, always having a good email chain with them when you communicate with them. Learning good email etiquette is also increases your value and things like that. So there was two things. Make sure that you know your own value and your growing value at every job that you've been in, everything that you've learned, every duty or thing they asked you to do. When they ask you to do the extra stuff, sometimes you don't get paid for it.
Right.
But sometimes you gain experience from doing that extra thing.
Right.
So we're not trying to stay in a situation where you're being underpaid and overutilized or overworked, but you have to take those good experiences out of that bad situation.
If you don't know your value, how do you know if you're getting underpaid if you don't know your value? How do you know when it's time to move if you don't know your value? And a lot of times jobs, they'll try to get squeeze every juice out of that lemon before they let you go. They'll get everything out of you they can. And they're not going to pay you for it. Sometimes, like I say, some jobs, they lock you in at $35,000. You ain't get another raise. You may get a bonus.
Yeah, I had to turn down jobs because of that. They told me, hey, man, with your experience, we'd love to have you. We'll pay you. We'll start you out at the max pay, buddy. I'm like, oh, man, it's good. They're going to start me off at the max. Then I can only go up from it. No, that's the max, like the cap.
That's
so
the
that's
cap.
going to be, you're going to come in, this is going to be your salary forever.
Right.
I mean, like, is that supposed to be motivational to me?
Boy.
You know what I mean? I felt good because I earned the max due to my, experience and knowing my value that I'm going to get maximum pay. That max wasn't looking too good. You know what I mean? And even if it was a very desired salary, 5 years, 10 years, it's the same thing. You didn't get a penny of anything.
You got a bonus.
You've learned maybe. You know what I mean? And you've learned these different skills and things like that. You're doing part of your supervisor's job. Get paid for everything you do. Right. Get a little certification, get a slip, get an email.
Now build their resume up and go get paid. Yes, sir.
If they start having you doing something, anything you ask me to do is now on my resume at the job.
So now,
did you make the schedule? Yep.
Now we're gonna skip right into this, man. We talk about these topics we see it come across. We're gonna parallel these to what we just talked about, or what we've been talking about on this podcast is thinking, corporate, and how it kind of relates to the NBA. This like I say, we thinking analogies and stuff. So we're gonna parallel these topics. First one, James Harden is declining.
The beard.
What you think?
Fear the beard.
You think he declines?
Yeah, he's just not putting up. I mean, he went from like, I'm sorry, you set a standard yourself as well.
Right.
He set an MVP standard, and that's what that company, when the company or basketball team signs you, they're expecting that level of play. Like, man, we got you from Apple to come over here to Google. We expect, what you was doing over there to over here, and then you come over there a little bit and it sputtered out, and like. They're not on time. The work ethic doesn't seem to be there. You don't even look the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? In his case, he doesn't even look the same. And social media matters. It's a parallel. We've talked about this. You can't come to work, but we see you partying on your Facebook or this
Party
or that.
like a rock star.
We're looking at your snaps like, they're always watching you. So you're not performing in the workplace, but we see you out there, and that's the same thing. We can see you out there partying, but you're missing, layups, free throws. You look out of shape.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And this is what I want to tell young people too. Like, the average NBA player. What do you think the average NBA player is?
How old or what?
No, the career span.
The career span. We're talking about average. I mean, we gotta think. LeBron James is the high end.
That's the Haley's coming. That's the Haley's coming.
He's playing extremely long at an extremely high level. I mean, you know what I mean. We're talking about guys who can just get in. Like some guys are one and done. But we say the average maybe. Really, for an average person is you want to say the numbers like 10 years, but it's really 5. You're going to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Most people are going to be in there 5 years. If you can't get some rolling, you're either going to be a permanent backup, or you're going to find your place within that first 5 years. And if you don't find that place, whether it's a backup or in the starting 5, you're going to be out of the league. You're going to be playing over there in Lithuania. You
got to take care of your body as well. Like, in my opinion, I don't think James Harden is taking care of his body like he could.
Because that's your biggest investment. I mean,
you can look at him and tell that he's
like a race car.
You can look at him and tell that he's a fluffy guy. He's a little soft, soft gut. You know what I'm saying?
How tall is he?
He's 6'5". I think he's 6'5".
So you got to be like to show a little bit to show that.
He don't have no definition in his arms.
Frame,
no definition in his arms.
I'm fat, but I'm only 6'1".
And I don't know, man. I think he realized that. Like, he's 32 years old, man. Think about that. Like, 32 and you playing a 48-minute NBA game. You know what I'm saying? Throwing jump shots. A lot of us, regular people, you can't even hold a power drill up for a little bit to drill something overhead. He doing this every time. If he shoot 30 shots, he doing that 30 times.
So that was
imagine doing that 30 times. Probably more than that. You know what I'm saying?
After 48
pump
minutes,
faking and dribbling.
48 minutes after that, man. After 30 minutes, I imagine that ball starts to get real heavy.
Yeah.
But we do understand we don't understand, but we can see how hard it is to perform on a night-to-night basis, carrying that kind of weight for that amount of time, performing on that level. You know what I mean? We wish you the best.
Right. I don't fully understand, but I do know when you get over 30, man, if you're not working out, man, you're definitely not in the peak of your years.
But then it's just not
like your peak is probably about 25, 26. You at the peak.
With endurance, it's when you're younger, but when it's strength, when you're hit like 25 and stuff, you get this like ridiculous amount of grown man strength.
Yeah.
And your mind starts to catch up with your body, and you're balanced at optimal levels.
But he not though. That's what I'm saying. He ain't at optimal level right now. I mean.
Yeah, but we understand that it's not just regular work. We're not talking about getting on a treadmill. Like, see me, I get on a treadmill 30 minutes a day, do a little running, ride the bike, lift a little bit of weight. But you can't eat dandy doodles after that though. That's the thing. You should see DK Metcalf's diet. He was you said what? But he worked out though too. Yeah, now that's another thing. He's saying he's working out in the morning, even with his diet. But we're talking about regular. You can't work out like regular men. We're talking about the NBA. We're talking about the best physical athletes out there. You know what I mean? So that's not all of them. They have a skill. At least some of them have a very unique skill. They're not. Sometimes I think maybe somebody posed a question like, You want to be a good athlete, or you want to be a good basketball player or football, or a particular sport.
Right.
So not all good basketball players or great basketball players are good athletes,
Right.
or even football players are good athletes. You
That's
know
true.
what I mean? You know, like some offensive tackles or defensive tackles in football that might be terrible athletes, but they're
Right.
amazing football players. I mean, when it comes to their strength or whatever, blah blah blah.
But yeah,
So,
now that we talked about James Harden, the next thing is NFL draft. After you get drafted, what happens next? That always interested me because I always wondered how often do these guys work out or work on their game after they get drafted. You think about like what is it, Geno Smith or Teddy Bridgewater. These guys were amazing in college. Mel Kiper gave them a high grade. When they got to the NFL, though, it's like a disconnect happened. Something just didn't translate from Louisville to the NFL or, West Virginia to the NFL with Geno, something like that.
yeah.
And it's just other people. It's not just those two. You think about like Peyton Manning, like he was great. Why did he translate from college to the NFL, but Ryan Leaf didn't? You know what I'm saying?
Those are hard positions. I mean, I think a lot of people haven't
quarterback's hard position.
Haven't been
Definitely.
Even some athletes when they're doing the draft, they're probably in the best shape of their life. I mean, they're coming out of college and then they want to look better.
But it's not about the shape.
No, that's step one. We're talking about even Harding with him not being able to maintain just the shape. So that's step one. You got to have a body to do that. Then I think the mindset. I don't think you can practice or train out playing the quarterback position, or even understanding, even as a defensive back, maybe understanding the coverages of the complex systems that the NFL has. You got to think, man, hey, he was a good player in college. Maybe he had a simplified offense or a simplified defense where he was able to understand that, and they weren't changing it week to week, so he can just really focus on his body or going out there to play football.
Right.
Being in the wrong system,
or
needed to be
system mess you up.
mentally babied by a coach where you need more motivation from a coach, but you have a teaching coach. A coach is going to teach you what to do, the right thing and the techniques, but you don't need a teacher, you need a motivator.
And then they get that game film. Like you may do good that first year, but if you don't go work on new stuff, they got game film on you now.
You can't be a defensive.
Now they game planning against you. Now they got you figured out.
You're defensive end with one move. You have to speed rush.
Boy,
that's next year they got him. He had 13 sacks. First year, 16 sacks.
Boy.
Second year, 3.5.
Boy.
They analyze every sack and they see they know what you like better than your wife does.
And then I want young people to realize too, NFL player career, what do you think the average is? About 5-6 years, maybe, if that?
You either hot or you're not.
Think about
you either starting in 3 years, but it's so many places. You got to think. It's a 55-man roster in the NBA, in the NFL, right?
Right.
It's a lot of places to hide mediocre talent or just not make. Because a lot of times some places have different. I think you get 3 backup quarterbacks to be on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
And they still need these practice squad guys. I mean, some guys have been professional, not saying these people are bad at all. Professional backups, like Brent Favre's backup, Peterson, was it Doug Peterson? Was a backup for Brent Favre for like 12 years, 11, some 15 or
probably
something like that.
Making what, 2, 3, 4 million, something like that, probably.
I mean, and then at that point, like, man, they worked together, and he's probably an amazing practice squad quarterback. Now he's a professional head coach.
Right.
So when we talk about the longevity of money, making money each year as a professional athlete, and
once you get out of it,
after you get out of it, how do you find a career that makes so much? Like, I mean, as somebody like him, I mean, is that the dream? You know what I mean? You get to play, go to NFL games, you play in the NFL, you got decreased risk of injury because, you're backup for Brent Favre and then, for all this amount of time. And then you become a head coach right after that. So you stay in the league, you understand the league, you understand more about football because you spend less time on the field and you're breaking stuff down. For a Hall of Fame quarterback all the time. So, you know how to run things. You know how to run a roster. You know what it's like to be from every position. But that doesn't translate that doesn't work out for everybody in that way. And we talked about learning the game and knowing the game.
Then you think about the front office positions that people don't talk about in the NFL. Working as a GM, working as vice president of football or basketball operations or baseball, something like that. They make money too. And they sustain those jobs sometimes a lot longer than an NFL player does.
Oh, yes, yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? So, you think about, a vice president of the football team, or general manager, they making millions too. But they don't have to go hit nobody. They don't have to get hit 27 times a game like a running back do. But they still making millions. I don't even know what
some of the owners are making. Like
they're billionaires.
When it's
no
one,
problem.
like when it's one owner, like some places, some teams they have multiple owners, and then like some other teams they have one owner. It's one person on the whole NFL team. So
I was watching one. They were saying here in a few years to buy an NBA team, it's gonna cost you $5 billion to buy an NBA team. Yeah. And most people have an investment group, and they'll be the majority on it. Everybody else got like percentages in stakes and stuff like that. So they get an investment group together.
Nice little, having a stake is probably getting a nice little cookie at the end.
Right. So what do you think? Our last topic is marketing yourself using social media to enhance value. Man, you know what I find out? A lot of people who do that, they have a team of people that does that. Yeah, it's hard to do that on your own, like to really
and maintain
market yourself. They post, seem like 5 times a day. Like Deion Sanders, dude posts in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, and sometimes like 2 or 3 videos in the afternoon. He has somebody doing it. Like you think about like Country Wayne.
Yeah.
He has somebody with a phone with a gimbal that records his stuff, those scenes and skits and stuff like that. Trying to do that on your own, man, it's pretty tough. It can be done, but it's pretty tough.
And it looks so natural and organic, like they are doing it themselves because it's about them. They're not sharing. Everything is like in life, really sharing. Like me and him, we share everything. We talk about everything, responsibility, risk, and all that.
Right.
But when you're on that level, it's a team boosting you. Like we spoke about, James Harden, and we talked about other, athletes. Some of your social media can help you tremendously, but it can also hurt you too.
Right.
Like when people see you partying, but you can't make a free throw.
Right.
Not saying him.
It's like LeBron, like he work out all the time, right? So when that little thing come out that you put on the walls, it's tonal, that help you lift weight, but it's on the wall. Of course they're going to go get LeBron because he has so many followers on Twitter and Instagram.
You give him those.
And the fact those people see him doing it, I'm going to get one of them. LeBron James doing it. I'm going to get one too.
That's probably why he's so buff. And that's the thing. Your social media, if it sells itself, since he has all those followers and he does all this stuff on there, people with products come to him. They want to give him the product. Then they just want you to use it like once or twice and things like that. So they can help you, and it can really, and like I said, it really enhances your value. Even if you're not an entertainer where you're speaking, and it really works out on every level. So just be careful how you use it because it's a double-edged sword that can help you tremendously, chop down obstacles, but it can also cut you. If you misuse it or don't use it the right way.
Exactly. So to parallel this, when you say hardness declining, think about this. Some jobs or some careers you take, it might have a front end peak, and then you might start seeing a back end decline. Some jobs like sales.
Yeah, you gotta watch sales.
When you young, you're vibrant, it's awesome. Then when you get older, the company like, well, you're getting older. You don't have the same draw as you did when you was in your 20s. Now
you're handsome. You went from Brad Pitt, you know what I mean,
right,
to
Johnny Depp or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Looking like Johnny Depp.
What's the dude? Die Hard, Bruce Willis. You know what I mean? Or you're just not. Your funny ain't just funny. When you got older jokes.
Right. You're starting to decline. So you think about NFL drafts. What happens next? What happens when you get selected for the job next? They're expecting you to come in and do the job. Be consistent, be on time, being able to communicate, being, your personality, does it fit that puzzle that they're trying to build? So,
or maybe they're trying to get you to help take, you think so new and vibrant. We loved your interview.
Right.
You want to get new energy and new thinking, and then you get to the job and you become a sheep.
Right.
You're supposed to be this leader that transition, have this vibrant personality that's going to help transition people into the way of thinking. Then you became just like everybody else. Now you're just an average player, and we paid you a little bit more to come over here and to kind of maybe change the culture in our thing. And now you're just doing regular stuff. You're not coming in on time, and that was one of those really big selling points to get you over here to the company. You know what I mean? Now you're soft-spoken. You're really outgoing and a strong leader when you first came in. So you want to kind of watch the thing. Like, you know, you're being signed to a company. You know, are you helping them grow? You know what I mean? Do they want to boost you up? Do you want to get yourself boosted, or do you want to fall just to be a mediocre player?
Right.
You know, or a mediocre worker that stays right here in this level, or do you want to climb up to be a MVP?
Right. So, marketing yourself on social media. There's a good side and there's a bad side. Good side, so you think about LeBron, or in the corporate world, you can market yourself as companies that look for you. Think about Instagram and stuff like that, or LinkedIn. You know, you wear suits, business attire, suits and stuff like that. You might draw a company just because how you look, your appearance. Like, we got to have that for our company right there. The bad side.
Now, if they, another thing on the good side, if you know they allow you, you know, to speak and have a social media presence, and you can even mention the company or just even talk about that. You get to get on here and talk about your job, right? Just what you do day to day. Let's say you look good, you sound good.
Right.
You get a following. There's like, well, your managers or your director didn't even know who you were.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, who they got? Where does he works for us? I mean, I saw him have the the company logo. Now they're looking for you like, man, like, you can get promoted and transition to a different job,
right.
Or other jobs look for you like, I just like how they guys looking and moving and things like that, making yourself noticeable,
right.
approachable and professional. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I like that guy. You might be the company liaison, spokesperson, or this and that, or the face of that franchise. You're selling yourself individually because you're walking commercial.
Yep. So now the bad side. I know you probably seen this too. There was somebody getting ready for prom, and they was on I think it was on Facebook. They took a picture with the prom dress on. The guy had his prom suit on, but they had guns in the picture doing this. She had a gun. There's a gun on the ground. And you know what happened? It went viral. What happened when it went viral? That person, I think it was the young lady, she lost her scholarship, and she was expelled from school from being on social media, pointing guns and stuff like that. And they said she was a straight A student. That's what they said. But it don't matter if you're a straight A student. Just by her doing that, having that visual, that's not a good visual to have. School you're not at a gun range. You're standing in the middle of a public street with a gun pointed at the camera. Your prom date got a gun. Then you got a shotgun right there at the bottom of your dress. I guess it was like a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And that 5-minute photo shoot cost you a college scholarship, and to go to that college, they didn't accept it. They told her, no, we don't want that here. And it caused you to get expelled from school even when you had straight A's. You know what I'm saying?
And you're not, like, say, you didn't do it you didn't commit it. The outside of it, these people didn't commit crimes. They didn't do anything, but it's the optics. It's on how things look. Right, the optics,
right.
And those people have a right to decline or accept you or revoke their scholarship.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know it seems like, this is wrong that they did this, but they can exercise that right. Mm-hmm. She didn't commit a crime. They didn't do anything, but the optics of things. So that's why you have to be kind of very, the double-edged sword thing. You have to be very weary of the images that you put out there that you're portraying. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because they didn't do anything, but it looks like they did something. We can think like that. And we don't want that part to be a part of our company, a part of our team, a part of our college. You know, those things. Well, my numbers speak for themselves. They don't. It's not going to help you. The all A's didn't help.
Right.
No criminal background didn't help.
Nope.
The fact that they didn't commit a crime did not help. Those people, those consequences still happen to them.
Yeah, because people are loose sponsors behind that stuff. Like, oh, you going to let them come to your school and they point guns and stuff like that? Oh, yeah, we're going to pull back. We're not donating no money there. So, you know, they have to make those kind of decisions.
But if something happened, they were like, well, he was on there. He had guns. They should have known that he was going to be a school shooter. Or they should have known that this person was going to bring drugs to the school. So
bottom line is be careful.
Decrease all that risk, they're not going to deal with it. No risk. They're trying to get zero risk.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Like, you got to be careful what you do. Me and this dude always tell each other, you can do whatever you want to do,
say everything
but you got to take what comes with it. Mm-hmm. There's a price for everything, and you got to take what comes with it. So you got anything else you want to close out with before we close out?
No, we got it.
So guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Episode number 17 in the books. And we are signing out, and we'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.